Welcome to the Everything Podcast. This episode, I'm going to be reacting to the newest Doctor Who spin-off titled The War Between the Land and the Sea, now that all episodes have been released in the UK. More on that in a second. But before that, I should mention I've recorded this episode on the 24th of December 2025, so Christmas Eve, which, as usual podcast timey-wiminess, means that the Christmas special is yet to be released from me, but by the time you've seen this episode, it will have been released. So please go check it out, even if it's just to support Matt's amazing extra bits. Like there's, what was I going to say? There's extra bits that even I don't know about, and I've recorded it. But yeah, please check it out. And it is a Fincher length special. As you will see, it's over an hour. So yeah. But what was I going to say? Yes. But yes, it's not. It's not. Don't expect every episode to be that long going forward. It's just with it being the Christmas special, and me and Chuck decided that it would be a longer episode. What nowhere near was we didn't plan it being as long as it was, but there you go. But yeah, here back onto the War Between the Land and the Sea. Now, if you have listened to this episode on audio, so not on YouTube, you will notice that I mentioned in yesterday's episode that about the finale of the War Between the Land and the Sea. So, because I was considering actually doing reactions each week, but I kind of thought it didn't particularly make sense. It was one story, but so I thought I'd do it at the end. Now, before I do react to it, obviously there'll be spoilers. So, spoiler alert. And the second thing is, it's only current as of time of recording been released in the UK. It is being released on Disney Plus around the world sometime next year. So yeah, just yeah, bear that in mind. So if you're outside the UK and haven't watched it yet, then come back to this episode or when you're able to watch it, or if you don't mind being spoiled. But there's one big spoiler, I would say, that I'll get into in a second. We're going to do it kind of chronologically ish. So yes, it's a five episodes. So just a reminder of the release pattern. On the 7th of December, episodes 1 and 2 were released. On the 14th of December, episodes 3 and 4 were released, and then episode 5 was released on the 21st of December, hence why I'm recording it only a couple of days later after the finale on Christmas Eve. But what was I going to say? Yeah, as I said, it's the Doctor, no incarnation of the Doctor does appear. We knew this going in. Yeah, so it basically is humanity versus the Sea Devils, now known as Homo Aqua. And basically kind of what happens is that we meet Barclay, who we learn works for UNIT, but as like books the taxis, I think it is. A couple of weeks since episode 1, so I've got to try and remember. And he gets mistaken for somebody else, and because of that, he is recruited to somewhere. It's an island of some description somewhere, where we see a dead Homo Aqua, and Barclay shows his respect, and then we meet Salt, who notices this and then recognises this as respect, and yeah, all the middle of that, there's negotiations going on between humanity and Homo Aqua, and yeah, basically they have their own ambassador, and then Salt wants Barclay to be the ambassador, which is kind of how episode 1 ends. And then I'm having a really good memory on episode 1. Episode 2 is a bit more actiony than episode 1, because basically what happens is, I can't remember, is it episode 2 that it is episode 2, I think, that Salt tries to get Barclay to drink water from the River Thames, which basically would kill him, which obviously is not going to happen. And then kind of the Homo Aqua basically get rid of all the plastic that we put in the ocean and kind of puts it back on land, and it causes a plastic storm. And if you've seen it, you'll know kind of how bad that is. And then at the end of episode 2, Salt recognises that kind of all the meetings have been on land. So she proposes that Barclay goes and meets her underwater, and he agrees to this. That's the end of episode 2. Then episode 3. This is the episode with the big spoiler. So if you've not watched episode 3, I would say, and you're planning on watching it, I would say stop, because there's about to be a huge spoiler in a couple of minutes. So I'll give you a couple of seconds. There you go. If you wanted to switch off. Episode 3 starts basically with General Pierce, Barclay, and a few other people basically going to meet Homo Aqua in their habitat. And Ted, who we meet for the first time in this episode, has a globe thing that he's planning on giving to Homo Aqua. So there's that. Whilst that's going on, I should mention is that Kate is in Cobra meetings, which basically is a meeting for emergency crises. That's right. I just lost my train of thought there for a second. And then she's basically told off, and people believe she shouldn't be in there, and she kind of stands up and reminds these political people how long unit's been around, basically. And then she does that, and then there's a few mentions of severance, which we've never heard of before, and I think that's kind of the point. And then throughout the end of episode 3, it becomes clear that certain people don't want Kate around anymore, so they all agree to do something about it, really. And the Prime Minister kind of is a bit about it, and kind of wants his name to not be involved, which the other people agree to. And then so we see Kate's house in there. I should have mentioned this in episode when I was talking about episode 2, but we see Kate's house for the first time, which we've not seen ever. Excuse me. We've never seen Kate's house before, so that was a new one. And we saw that it was... what was I going to say? I was going to say something, and I've now forgotten what it was. Yeah, can't remember now. About Kate's house. We've not seen it before, and kind of a sniper targets that house, because you see the red spot on Kate. Colonel Ibrahim is also there. So where was I? Oh yes, the spots. Lost my train of thought again. Red spots as if shoots, and then Colonel Ibrahim's also with Kate. Because previous to that, he tries to convince her to kind of rest a little bit and kind of not always be in unit boss mode. Commander in Chief, I think and then what happens is that both of them have blood on, so we don't know who was actually hit. And then here's the big spoiler. Kate, it seems that Colonel Ibrahim was the one hit, so Kate tries to do CPR on Colonel Ibrahim, but it's unsuccessful, and Colonel Ibrahim dies. Yeah, that's the big spoiler of the show, really, and it happened in episode 3. It was a bit of a... because there was loads of teasers prior to the show coming out that kind of not everyone was going to make it out alive. But in episode 3, we kind of thought, oh, no. And then, and that's not the only big thing in episode 3, actually, which we'll get onto in a second. But we never thought that it was kind of going to be that soon, because it's basically towards the end of episode 3, it's kind of the middle of the show. So we kind of didn't know what was going to happen next. It was a shock. But yeah, the other, speaking of back to them travelling to meet Homo Aqua with Barclay and General Pierce do it. We then find out that actually no, that's into episode 4, so I'll leave that for a minute. That we find out that I'm trying to remember, this is what happens when it was a week and a half ago. Um, I'm going to tell you how it ends, and then I'm going to kind of work backwards. Is that the globe thing that Ted has bought Homo Aqua as a gift is a bomb, and it kills Ted, uh, all of Homo Aqua. No, it causes an explosion, and it kills General Pierce, Ted, um, and the three people. Ravi, I think, is one of the names. I can't remember the other two. And then Bartley is saved by Salt, and that is how episode 3 ends. I think, if I remember correctly. And then episode 4, there is a deep fake involving Salt basically saying that she did it when obviously she didn't. And then, yeah, episode 4 is basically about the fallout and Bartley trying to convince Kate that Salt's a good person. And that is basically episode 4, really. There kind of isn't a lot to episode 4. Episode 4 is a weird one because it's been between that and that. Actually, no, because at the end of episode 4, there's a blub, because obviously Kate's just lost Ibrahim, who was her partner, and yeah, she would have no message anyway, but even with that, we nearly have a full-on war between the British Army and unit soldiers. But before that happens, there's a trick involving Barclay's ex-wife. Barbara kind of gets tricked by some part of unit. That's how Barclay gets there. Because Barclay and Salt run away by Barclay reversing into the water to let Salt free after she was captured. Sorry, it's a bit all over the place. And then, yeah, it's a trap. Barclay convinces Salt to go into the water. Barclay is arrested or withhold or something. But yeah, we kind of nearly have a full on one. And then that's kind of how episode 4 ends into the finale, which basically I watched about 2 days ago. I watched it Monday morning. I wasn't able to watch it this Sunday night. I can't remember why, but there was a reason. Oh yeah, I met with one of my friends. That was why. That was why. And then not Monday. Then episode 5, which is titled "The End of the War." Which yeah, and then we've got Severance. And at some point within all this, the person who wanted Kate killed basically is, or one of the people kind of is killed. So yeah, and then Kate at some point during it warns the Prime Minister that she'll basically he'll basically be what's the word? Learn that kind of she was right all along, basically, and then we learn throughout episode 5 that Homo Aqua is dying somehow, and that's what Severance is. It's a virus against Homo Aqua that kills 9 out of 10 people, and Barclay is just hoping that Salt is still alive, which she is, and Barclay and Salt meet in the water. Barclay's been trying for ages, and then there's some kind of sonic disruption within the episode, on the coast, which the people involved with Severance are, that have set up. I should mention this is Severance in The War Between Land and Sea, not Severance, the Apple TV show. Just to make that clear. But yeah, and then that kind of is some, yeah. And then Barclay and Salt reunite, and then Salt asks Barclay to ask for a cord. Obviously, none of them not knowing about what Severance is, actually truly is, which is the virus that kills. And that's why Salt agrees to end the war, because there isn't anyone left, really, on the Homo Aqua side. And Barclay tries to apologise, even though Salt knows it's not Barclay's fault at all. So there's that. And then, so it ends. And basically, Salt agrees to humanity's demands because she admits to being scared of humanity, especially after this. But yeah, we didn't know how it was going to end going into episode 5. We knew that was it because we know that there's now no Doctor Who or Who related TV content until Christmas Day, or we presume Christmas Day next year. Sorry about that. But yeah, it was. And then there's a post-credit scene which Russell T Davies, the showrunner of The War Between Land and Sea and current showrunner of Doctor Who, kind of teased, and it's basically a jogger walking on the beach, and he drops a bottle, and Kate politely a couple of times asks him to pick it up. He doesn't believe it's his problem, so she pulls out a gun on him and asks him to pick it up. Obviously, because that's kind of what caused all this in the first place. So yeah, I probably have missed some stuff, but I don't want Matt to end up having a nervous breakdown after having to animate this episode, because obviously he's just had to see the Christmas special. So yeah, I'm probably going to end it there. But let me know if you've watched The War Between Land and Sea, what you thought of it, and if you aren't going to watch it, let me know why you aren't in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.